Hey everybody! Today we're going to do another Redneck review, but we're going to go back in time a little bit to a time where it was friend against friend, foe against foe. A very dark time in America's history. That's right, the Civil War. Only it's a superhero Civil War. This was a comic back in 2006 that rocked Marvel to its core. We had Iron Man versus Captain America, and it's all about a law that says that all superheroes have to come forth with their identity. They can't be on their own anymore. So, if anyone, this is a Marvel event that was very controversial, and those are the ones that make the best stories. But you either like it or hate it. But today we're going to go through the entire first half, and I'm going to do a second half in a little bit, and I'm going to give you a recommend or don't recommend issue. But as for right now, I'm going to show you this in the art. It was done by Niven, and Hollowell. So here we go. Let's start things off. It starts off with the team, the New Warriors. Look at that art. Look at that first page. Isn't that awesome? New Warriors, who at this point in their career as superheroes were turning themselves into a reality TV show where they would go and they would save people from supervillains. And they find an entire nest of supervillains that were basically hiding out, just trying to live their lives. They had just broken out of prison from the Avengers. And the New Warriors found them. It was Nitro, Diamondback, and a few others. And, you know, Speedster, the original roster for this team was Speedball and all these other people, Midnighter, who were all just going to go and try and save, the world on a reality TV show. Not the most noble way to go about it. But anyway, they had gone in here. They were in the middle of the neighborhood. All these people. They managed to take down the bad guys. It starts off as a real moment that you think the good guys are going to win, but it goes south very quickly. One of the New Warriors, there's a villain named Nitro, sworn enemy of Captain Marvel, into a schoolyard. And his special power is he can blow up at a moment's notice. And he tells them, he says, "You're Namorita, you're Namor's cousin. Guess what? You just got upped to the big leagues." And he explodes in the middle of this school. It's like a Columbine incident or 9/11. But anyway, who has to come in and pick up after this? It's one of those moments where they're not going to take it from these people anymore. The Avengers, the new Avengers, former old Fantastic Four, all the heroes come. And then, the Captain America and him and Iron Man are the leaders of the new Avengers at this point. And they are trying to figure out what went on, and Captain America tells them that, the New Warriors get come. They said they got a call on, it explains the whole story again to Cap that, this is what went on. Captain America says this is why they should never have been allowed to be a superhero team. And I get that. I get what they're saying. They're saying that that if they're going to continue to have these powers, they need to use them responsibly. That's what Iron Man and everyone's done. Well, anyway, everyone shows up to help out here. The Avengers, the X-Men, the Fantastic Four. The X-Men are being watched at this point by Sentinels, just in case. They're an endangered species now after House of M. Another comic which I'm going to go over at some point in the future, because I really like that story too. But anyway, they're over here, and the whole world is calling superheroes into question on how do you think you should, handle yourself after this. He's on She-Hulk goes on Jimmy King Live when it was on. This was back in the day. The priests, the Catholic Church, and everyone is making these statements about it. And what's going on here? Tony Stark is at the funeral of one of the parents of the children that died over there. He's trying to show his support. And what happens is this mother of one of these children comes up right in front of him and spits on his face because she looks at him as one of the reasons why this tragedy has gone on. And why he says, so you think it's okay for just because you have a powers and a suit of armor, all you can be a hero? You're arrogant. You're a piece of garbage. You're the reason why we're having these kinds of problems in this country. And her words sort of resonate with Tony Stark. Her words resonate with Tony Stark, a guy who is famous for not caring. And you see in this picture right here, you see J. Jonah Jameson telling Peter Parker to get as much of this as possible because he wants to show these heroes in a bad light. And all of this creates an anti-superhero hysteria. We have here Giant Storm going into a nightclub, and he is trying to go with one of the 50 hot dates he gets at the time, and he's going into a nightclub, and he just gets to go in line because he's Giant Storm. He's a member of the Fantastic Four, a superhero, and all the people in front of him or behind, right here, are trying to get in line, and they're like, what? He goes, what? Why? Just because you think you a big shot superhero, this New Yorker talk. You think you're better than us? Don't you have some kids to go kill? And he tells them, look, I'm nothing like those chumps in New Orleans. They're B-list tops, and they have all these heroes in B-list. Well, what happens is the rest of the crowd looks at him, and they start beating him with bottles. I mean, there's anti-superhero hysteria. The people are saving him, and it's just hysteria. They don't know how to handle all this stuff. I mean, people are angry, just like they were at 9/11 and Pearl Harbor. They were tagging them because they look at them as the source of the problem. It's written really well. Well, anyway, the Baxter Building. We take it to the heroes, and they're all coming together, trying to figure out a solution, a peaceful solution. And like we said, like this book entails, half of them are for going out and registering for this bill. The government wants them to basically reveal themselves to the government, not to the actual people, but they need to know who they are, and who they can hold accountable for this. And by doing so, they would become government employees. They would be working for the government. And that sits well with half of them, so it doesn't. Susan Storm tells them, look, the Fantastic Four have been, out since the beginning, and it's never caused a problem for us. Well, that argument is fine for them because they're, rich and powerful. But Spider-Man comes there and says, look, for those of us who we don't want to come home and find a giant octopus arm impaling your wife and kids. And all of them just have this different view on it. And Daredevil says, look, this is the straw that broke the camel's back. It was going to happen eventually. We've just got to figure out how we're going to handle it from now on. And it shifts to Captain America on the helicarrier, who is being commanded as a servant of the people to be on the side of registration. And Maria Hill, who's the current acting liaison for S.H.I.E.L.D., is telling him, look, who's going to be the problem here? And he says, look, I'm not sure I'm on board with this right now. He says, look, if you do this, Captain America, you're going to be considering yourself a traitor. You're going to be turning your back on everything you fought for. You'll be hunted down like dogs. Look, he tells her, look, superheroes have to be above this. We can't just go and be the government's dogs. Just because you have a problem with those people, you're going to sick us on them, is where this is heading. And it's this amazing sort of story with him, and Captain America, by the end of it, attacks a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent. He has to get out of there because he's not going to submit to this. It's the will of the people, and he feels that it's going against America's ideals. And this wonderful art of battle ensues, and it ends up him jumping off the helicarrier and onto a jet plane, taking a guy. He makes this wonderful little quip after he breaks the thing that the driver's like, "Oh my gosh!" And he says, "Gee, I don't want to take God's name in vain," but he tells him, "Keep flying, son, and watch that potty mouth." It's this great little moment, and they go, "Look out! Look out!" And you can tell here's the picture of him on the jet plane going down there, and it goes back to the Baxter Building, where a big sign in the universe that if something goes bad in the Marvel universe, the Watcher is going to be there. He's right here, and they all see him, and he only comes to record great events in Earth's history or great upheaval. So they took this as a bad sign, that this could reach a bad way for them. Well, it goes on from here that the people are rallying for this registration bill. They don't want another child to be harmed, and all the politicians are in here just telling them, look, you've got to hand it to Captain. Some of them are mad, some of them are angry. They all tell them that we could, it's at least it's classy of Captain America. He goes in here and he doesn't damage the airplane. He doesn't damage government property. And he takes the pilot out for McDonald's afterwards. I mean, he's a class act. He says he's still breaking the law. And the government says, what do you people think? And we find out who the three faces of registration are going to be. And it's going to be Iron Man, Mr. Fantastic, and Hank Pym. And he tells them, you push ahead with the Registration Act, ladies and gentlemen. Leave Captain America to us. So we've set the stage here. We've set what is going to happen in this particular issue, that these people who were once these best of friends, teammates, brothers, family, are now going to be divided. And that's the end of chapter 1 of the Civil War. We're only going to go to chapter 4 in this part, but Captain America basically has gone underground, and we find out that he's taking down villains left and right. Doing all the stuff that he normally does, he takes down the Vulture and the Reaper. Who the Reaper tells him, this lunatic broke my nose. I thought you idiots were supposed to be hunting him down or something. Now the criminals are saying, now we can use what they're doing against us because now they're breaking the law too. I mean, they've made no distinction between the heroes and the villains, which they've always sort of done in the shows or whatnot. But now there's no distinction. You're breaking the law if you do it this way. And there are several groups, they're making these statements on Captain America. We're obviously disappointed with Captain America's stance on registration, but we need to focus on the heroes who are doing things right. And Iron Man, who being this face of registration, has assembled another team of heroes who are going to compel with registration. And you see it right here. The people are all happy. They are enjoying this idea that these people submit to the law, and they're doing their best to make sure they can't go on and hurting people. And if all of you who have a problem with Iron Man being the face of registration after how much of a bad boy he is, he doesn't hear that. Some of the people seem to believe in superheroes again. He's trying to repair their. He goes, well, still technically, we're Shield agents now. He says, yes, you're right, but look at the fear in their face. Do you see them upset? Do you see them unhappy? Do you see them unequivocally afraid of us? That's what I've saved you from. And we move next to the Baxter Building, and we find out that Reed Richards is working for Tony and trying to figure all this stuff. And he comes up with this idea, number 42. And his wife is telling him, look, we're attacking our friends. What part of this is right? He says, look at this math on the wall. He's got all this globbly goop everywhere. You don't know where it starts, don't know where it begins. He says, that is the percentage of how people are going to take us now. And it's really sad. I mean, they are just so upset that they're in a word with to fight their friends, and I can't blame them. We see here in issue 2 that the registration bill has gone through. It's been legalized. It's law, like Obamacare. And all the people, are wondering, how long this is going to last. How long are they going to let superheroes do this now that it's law? And for the superheroes that are there, that are on registration, it's not such an easy thing for them. They, you see Tony right here says, God, please let this be right. Please let this be right. So the people have doubts too. It's like the Obamacare law. You don't know if it's right. Well, the first person they make an advantage of is Patriot, a member of the Young Avengers, who, they're using deadly force on children. They know that there are superheroes who are underage, but they are just going to stop them because they're a threat to everyone. You see him here taking in the rest of the Young Avengers. That didn't bother me so much. I'm not a big fan of the Young Avengers because I'm a proponent for not a proponent for same-sex marriages. But anyway, we see these SHIELD agents coming in here and grabbing them. But what's the funny part is these agents are actually Captain America in a disguise, and the Falcon in the back. They've taken over the cargo container, trying to take back and gain more superheroes for their side. So the resistance is gaining its momentum, and eventually they catch on here that they're not cat killers. And what happens? They're teleported away by Wiccan, who is a magic user, transported to a secret facility who used to be run by Nick Fury. And we find out that Tony figures they have to do something to show that what they're doing is wrong. What they're doing is, what the resistance is doing is wrong. And we see Tony calling this big press conference. And he comes up here and he tells them, ladies and gentlemen, to all superheroes who are employed and unemployed, we have a special guest who's going to show you what registration means. And everyone says, and all of a sudden Spider-Man comes down, and Spider-Man makes this speech. He goes, as most of you probably know, I've guarded my secret identity pretty much careful over the years, and no one guarded it more than me. Well, today for registration, I'm going to take it off and show the world what they really should do. And it's the only time we've ever seen Peter Parker take off his mask publicly. And it's this really cool moment. He says, I'm Peter Parker, and I'm Spider-Man, and I believe in registration. And we see J. Jonah Jameson over here go crazy and just pass out on the floor. And he just, at the end of the issue, he goes, any questions? Alright guys, well that's the end of this first part of the Redneck review of Civil War. So tune in for the next part very, very soon.